Hello, everyone. My name is Bree Grip, and I will be talking about the direct method for my final presentation for ED 473. So I will talk about the direct method, of a brief overview, as well as the lesson plan that I created using the direct method. And then I will discuss two other methods and an overview of them and why I chose direct method over the other methods. So the direct method um, really is there's no translation from students' native language to their target language. So reading, writing, speaking, listening is all done in the target language, and it really focuses on having students learn to think in the target language. So that kind of can be hard for students sometimes to understand that, but really bridging the gap between new vocabulary and content with um, target language. So in this method, meaning is conveyed directly in the target language through the use of demonstration and visual aids. So students will learn how to read, ask questions, and answer questions, and ultimately communicate with others in the target language. Grammar is not directly taught, so there's no grammar rules or instructions, but it mainly focuses on vocabulary and pronunciation, and grammar is therefore learned with it. Students are encouraged to use vocabulary in full sentences and ask and answer questions, and really connect of a meaning of something with a picture or object or demonstration. So I chose this method because I hope to teach in an area where students come from many different backgrounds and speak many different native languages. This is the case in Iowa City. There are many different languages represented in each classroom. So in that kind of setting, students are all speaking different languages. So no translation can be used. And this method kind of eliminates that. I like this method because it encourages communication, and communication is key and essential to future learning and performance in academic areas as well as life in general. Teachers and students are really partners in learning in this method. It's not just teacher led, but they're partners learning together and working together. So the lesson I came up with was for a third grade ELL class. It was kind of fun, talking about camping. So get students talking about a new thing that some might not be familiar with, but it also incorporates literacy and social studies standards. So the objective of this lesson was students will be able to identify key details and ideas from a text using vocabulary and content learned in the target language through the direct method. So first, we would kind of go over new vocabulary using pictures, objects, and demonstrations. So for example, a tent, as we're talking about camping. So we would have a picture of a tent and connect the picture of a tent, what it looks like, to the word tent, either in written, reading, speaking, and listening forms. So after going over vocabulary and making sure students are comfortable with the new vocabulary, we would read a passage about camping, which includes new vocabulary. After, students would get the opportunity to get with a partner and retell the story in the target language, so using key details as well as the vocabulary learned is encouraged for students to use. And then students will be they're supposed to ask and answer questions regarding camping in the new vocabulary in the passage in the target language. So another method that was talked about in the book that I did like, but ultimately chose the direct method over was task-based learning. So in this method, tasks have clear and attainable goals. students are first doing a task with the whole class, and then in small group and individually. In language is really used for quotes doing, so actively using a language. I do think this method can be used for a variety of lessons and subjects, but I ultimately chose the direct method over it because this method is kind of better for when there is an actual task that the teacher wants the students to accomplish. But I was really looking at teaching skills and vocabulary learned through the direct method, and then therefore students could use, for say, these tasks or these skills and vocabulary in the task-based learning to complete a task. The other method I looked at was cooperative learning. So in this method, students learn from each other in groups. The teacher helps students learn skills to effectively collaborate with others. And it really encourages students to think as a team rather than individual, and provides students that space to communicate in a wide variety of subjects and topics in target language. So this method is really great for group work and creating positive relationships and skills associated with working together. The teacher is more hands-off in the activities, I feel, which I do like. And I really think the direct method and cooperative learning can be combined and used together to do both of these things. But I really liked the direct method just because it does kind of create that relationship with the teacher and student. So I think the direct method is a great method to use in the classroom, as it teaches vocabulary and content in the target language. It may appeal more to visual learners, as your spoken language is being connected with visual aids or demonstrations, but it can also then be used for speaking and writing. This method can be used to teach many different subjects, areas such as science, math, social studies, and obviously literacy, but kind of each of those subjects has vocab that needs to be taught, and I think direct method is a great way to teach those things. And it really gives students the opportunity to ask and answer questions, which is an essential skill for students to take forward in other learning environments and subjects. So some of the takeaways I learned from the direct method and the other methods, all the methods really are useful and effective when taught correctly. And different methods can be used to teach different things and in different settings. But each of them has its own pros and cons and needs to be used to teach students effectively. Thank you.